Today is Saturday, April 1st, 2023. I'm Jason Shapiro with crowdedmarketreport.com. Today I was going to go through this little chart thing that I made up a while back, which to me gives a very general view of what the cycle of how a market moves look like. So if we start like at a market high, right, it says here everything is bullish. And it means that fundamentals are clearly bullish. Technicals are clearly bullish. If we're at a market high, then clearly there's an uptrend. So your fundamental people are long, and your trend followers are long. Everybody's long, and rightly so, because the trend is bullish, the fundamentals are bullish. And then what happens, and again, this is very general, along this we get sort of waves around this, right? That can be pretty extensive based on the news flow. But essentially you get your first pullback, and that's called a consolidation. The market's consolidating. Things are still bullish. Trend is still up. So clearly this is just a pullback in the trend or a consolidation or whatever. That's the first thought, right? Then we move lower, okay? And all of a sudden, maybe the fundamentals are changing a little bit, is what we're getting. And it's not a question of are the fundamentals really changing, it's a question of people's interpretation of the fundamentals are changing, which is always the case, because there's always different fundamentals going on. It's always what you want to focus on and how you want to interpret it, right? So here we start to get maybe certain people talking about the fundamentals are changing. And what we get on the trend following side is trend followers are starting to get stopped out here, possibly short depending on the length of their trend following, but certainly getting stopped out, right? And you're starting to see the positioning shrink. Then we go down more, and now the fundamentals have changed. Now the fundamentals are bearish, right? And now trend followers are getting short, right? And then we have the bottom, which is that the exact opposite of the top, obviously, right? Everything's bearish. The fundamentals are clearly bearish now. The trend is clearly bearish. Fundamental traders are short. Trend followers are short, everybody's short, and rightly so. And then, lo and behold, obviously, we get the exact opposite. It starts to go up, which is seen as the market, the downtrend is now consolidating, right? We go up some more, trend followers start getting stopped out of their shorts, positioning starts changing, and fundamentals possibly are getting better. We go up some more, now the fundamentals are getting good, right? And the trend followers are getting long by now. And then we're back to the top where everybody's long because the fundamentals are clearly good and the trend is clearly up. And that's sort of how I see how the cycle works over time. And like I say, there's wide moves across this, up and down the whole way. But in general, that's kind of how I see how this stuff goes. So let's think about where we are right now in the stock market. Clearly not here. For me, I would say we're somewhere right around here where the trend followers are just starting to get stopped out. We're probably in here, right? We're past the place of this being just a consolidation because we've had a pretty big move from the lows. I cannot say that I hear people saying that the fundamentals are changing because I still don't hear a single person coming up with a bullish fundamental. So that part has not really happened yet. But certainly, I would argue that trend followers are starting to get out. If we look at the positioning, you could see speculators were quite short NASDAQ, kind of this whole year. And now in the last 3-4 weeks, they've started to get out. In the Russell, there really hasn't been much movement. They weren't that short to begin with, and they really haven't moved. Same with the S&P, although surprisingly, in the last week, they actually got a little bit shorter S&P. And the Dow is just ridiculous, quite frankly, because they've gotten shorter the whole way down. And maybe that's right, because the Dow up until this week was sort of lagging. So, and certainly this is as of last Tuesday. We had quite a rally Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this is probably a lot less short than it was. But going back to the main chart, I think that we're back. We're kind of in this area where maybe some of the shorter term trend followers are getting stopped out. We certainly have not gotten to a point where people agree with fundamentals are bullish just yet. And we have a long way to go before the trend followers actually get long. So what this means is if we're here on the cycle, if we're going to get to a point where trend followers are not only going to get stopped but get long, this market has a very long way to go to the upside. It's impossible to say what it is, but just in general, if it's taken this move to get the NASDAQ from short to kind of neutral, then you would think it would maybe be like the equal amount of move to get them to go from neutral to long. And the NASDAQ has, from that short to neutral area, has rallied about from 11,000 to 1,300 points. So if it were going to take another 1,300, you'd be at 14.6. And at 14.6 on the NASDAQ, the equivalent for the S&P would be somewhere probably around 44, 45. The equivalent for the Dow would be even ridiculously higher given the amount of shorts that we had coming in here, but you'd probably be looking at somewhere around 36, 37,000. So I'm not here to say that we're definitely going to get all of that to happen. I'm just kind of giving an idea of, based on how I see how the cycle works, and it's been working exact so far, how this could possibly go down. So that's kind of my idea for this week, this sort of contrarian cycle of markets. Happy to hear any questions or comments. Please join us on crowdedmarketreport.com, and I hope everybody has a good week. Thanks a lot.